Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is off to a great start this week. I am going to try to get through this real briefly and quickly, do it as succinctly as I possibly can. But I want to encourage you, I want to give you some tools to work with that will help you change the trajectory of your life and your situation. And I'm going to explain it to a certain extent. But in the meantime, also know that you can find out how you can work with me directly for those of you who are really looking to ignite transformation in your life, expedite the transformation process. Working with me is one way that you can do that. Another way that is a little less effective, but definitely works, is to utilize the courses that I've created. And the Mind Unleashed course is one of those courses that will really make sense to you after you listen to what I have to say. But I'm going to give you something that you can literally take from this video and apply it to your life, and you will begin to see progressive change as you do it. Remember, the thing about anything that is going to dictate consistent change requires consistent engagement. So repetition and consistency is extremely important. You know, you hear all the time, a couple of things you hear all the time. One is how you start your day is how your day will go, or how you will end your day. Another thing is guard your self-talk. The constant conversation about affirmations. Now, self-talk is far more than just any affirmations you may say or any negative thing you may say. It is the constant conversation you're having with yourself about yourself. It can also be the conversation that you are having with others about yourself. Be very careful of how you speak, of who you are, what you are, where you're going, what you're doing, and what you will do. This is not about denying a current situation. This is not about ignoring real life issues. This is about speaking and using the power to create. God gave you that power. It's within you. It is a spiritual truth. If you are a Christian believer or from the Abrahamic faith, it is a biblical truth. If you are a person that is driven by empirical data, it is a scientific truth that what you program your subconscious mind, or as mentioned in the Bible, the heart, the seat of the soul, the center of who you are, is going to control you. It says out of the heart, out of the heart, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You're also told, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And we're finding now that there is a way to scientifically observe this reality in real time, over time. And it's real. Your subconscious mind is controlling roughly between 95 and 96% of your total overall thinking, behavior, and life outcomes. It is on autopilot. It is literally the force that's driving your catalyst. And if you have poor programming in your subconscious, this autopilot, imagine the subconscious as this unbelievably powerful motor that literally drives 96% of what you do, what you think, and how you behave, what you believe. And that 96% is going to determine the outcome of your life. That's why willpower alone never works, because willpower is great when you are making a conscious movement, when you are doing something consciously, you can execute willpower. But when you are talking about everyday life, 96% of what you do is on autopilot. It is literally programmed in you. You do it instinctively, you do it habitually, and it is simply who you are. The only way you change it is to change the programming. You have to change the programming. One of the ways that I teach my clients to do this immediately, something they can do, start immediately doing and start to see progress in, is to create a very small. Now, I believe in affirmations and everything. I believe you write them. I believe you journal them. I believe you speak them. I believe you put them in music. I believe you find every possible thing that you can, way you can, to establish a set of beliefs about yourself that begin to become the reality of who you are and what you are, how you think, how you perceive life, and how you move. So, but when I'm focusing and I'm helping someone, the small step is the easy one to take. The one thing that you can just do, and everybody's talking about how busy I am. I don't have time to read that book. I don't have time to sit up and watch that video. I don't have, and so what can you do? And so there's this step of programming the mind. There are a number of different ways you program the mind, and I go through all of that in my courses. I do it with my clients, but I want to teach you one step you can start immediately. And it's this: 3 words, 3 simple words. I am whole. I am worthy. Well, not 3 words, one simple phrase of three simple ideas. So it's I am whole, I am worthy, I am loved. I am whole, I am worthy, I am loved. When I say I am whole, what am I saying? I am saying that I am complete and perfect in my design. Now, while I have uh, thwarted the design, so to speak, through environment, through the passing down of trauma, through the experiencing of trauma, through the emergence of things. The design itself is perfect. God does not have flaws. So there's no flaws in the design. The design is still whole. How you're operating in the design is the problem. How you are moving through your thought processes, through your belief systems, through the way you approach life, through your perspective, through your examination of the situations and circumstances around you, is determining the level at which you operate. But in totality, everything you need is within you. There's no need to search outside of yourself for everything you need in order to do the things that you desire to do. It starts with you. It's an internal process, it's an internal experience. But when you start to believe that you are absent of something, that what you need is beyond you, is outside of you, you start to reach for things and search for things and beg for things and hope someone else gives you something that's already implanted in your design. So you say I am whole, then you say I am worthy. When you say I am worthy, you remind yourself that you are deserving of all the great and awesome and beautiful things that life has to offer you. You are deserving of authentic love. You are deserving of abundance. You are deserving of wealth. You have a worth value to God that's immeasurable, but you're going to have to start to believe it about yourself. Here's the beauty about developing this belief. It is in developing this belief that you start to set the parameters of how and what you expect in life, how you will be treated by others, what you will demand of yourself, what you will expect. And God always meets us at the level of our expectations, never beyond that. So if you want something, you've got to expect it. When you do it and speak it and believe it, you will begin to expect it. And then I am love. When you say I am loved, it means that you acknowledge that you are in a constant environment of love, whether it be from your family, whether it be from friends, whether it be from the love that you give yourself or the love you extend to others, or the love that you experience daily without fault from God. You are constantly loved. There's never a time that you're not. And when you do this, a beautiful thing happens when you do this. You elevate the frequency and the vibration of the energy you are emitting. You go from all of that anxiety and that worry and that stress and that anger and all that stuff that is negative and toxic to your body, to your brain, to your mind, to your life. Literally, you go from that stuff, which is anywhere from 200 hertz down into double digits, up to a minimum of 500 hertz. And this is where physical healing begins. This is where mental and emotional expansion and transformation begins. This is where you start to move and expand yourself. This is where you begin to experience abundance. Remember, gratitude is the gateway to abundance. When you start to repeat these words, I am whole, I am worthy, I am loved. And you only have to do it for a minute when you wake up and a minute before you go to bed. When you do it, when you wake up, you're literally setting the expectation of the day. You're setting um, the state that you're going to begin the day, but you're also planting the seeds that will bloom at different times of the day that will explore these new identities that you are assigning to yourself. And you say it for a minute. I am whole. I am worthy. I am loved. I am whole. I am worthy. I am loved. And here's the thing, your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what is imagined, stated, or real. So when you state something or you're imagining it in your mind and envisioning it, the subconscious doesn't determine, well, no, that's not a reality. That conscious mind does that. The conscious mind is the filter that keeps saying what you will believe, what you will hold on to, what you will do, and what you won't do. But the subconscious mind does not distinguish. The subconscious mind simply takes what you feed it by way of information and stimuli, and then it begins to go to work producing um, it begins to go to work producing and creating the reality that is in correspondence to what you're feeding it. So whatever you feed your mind the most is what you're going to produce in your life. Whatever you are exposing your gates to is what you're going to get. But what you do when you do it in the morning is you catch yourself before you have a chance to experience anything else, negative or positive. You set the state, you determine, you operate and execute your personal sovereignty. When you wake up in the morning and you say, I am whole, I am worthy, I am loved, you have made an establishment. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I actually say is thank you. Then the next thing is, I am immensely grateful. I am grateful for this moment. And then I talk about things I'm grateful for. But then I say, I am whole, I am worthy, I am loved. And what that does is that plants the seed and it stops any moment of negativity for creeping in, because you got these things that are happening in your life that are situations and circumstances. Now, when you talk about situations and circumstances, the thing you have to understand about that is that they are temporal. What does that mean? That means that they are a passing moment. There are something that is happening, and normally it's happening from a result of other things that you've been thinking and believing in the past. And as you start to create these new realities by embracing this new identity and starting to really truly impress upon yourself who you really are in the eyes of God and in your design, you start to realize that your circumstances are not indicative of who you are. They're indicative of a moment that you're in, and the moment is transient. It is passing, and you will get through it. But if you allow yourself to be consumed with the circumstance, if you allow yourself to be overwhelmed and overcome by the circumstance then becomes your perpetual reality, because you have given your circumstance weight. You have taken yourself from a momentary discomfort to suffering. Suffering is a perpetual living within something that is uncomfortable that you feel you have no control over, because when you know you have control, you execute your power to extract yourself. People look at me all the time over the course of my life as I move through things, and I move through things because I'm not complacent and stagnant, looking for a comfortable spot and soft spot to land in and chill. I'm going somewhere with my life, and that means that I'm going to travel through different climates of life that are difficult sometimes, that are troublesome sometimes, that are heartbreaking sometimes, but I'm consistently moving towards something that elevates me. So my goal when I wake up in the morning is not to go to sleep the same man that woke up. And in the process of that, I'm going to engage some discomfort, because you become uncomfortable when you move out of the familiar into the familiar. I mean, you move out of the familiar into the unfamiliar. As you move into the unfamiliar, when you hear people say, when I ask people, did you try this? Did you try that? And they'll normally come back and say, I tried it, but it didn't feel right. When they tell it just didn't feel right, something felt, they're telling you it felt uncomfortable. And most people are searching for comfort. Most people are looking for comfort. Most people are sitting up there trying to find a space of comfort. So when it's time to elevate and it's time to move towards something that takes them to a higher level, that new feeling of discomfort doesn't feel right. And what are they looking for? They're looking for the feel right. So they move back into what they know. And the problem is you can never execute your destiny living in something that you've done in the past. You can never consult your past for permission to change your future. But what you do is you wake up in the morning and you say, I am whole, I am worthy, I am loved. And what does it do? It reminds you of something beyond the circumstance, something beyond any particular moment that's going to happen in that day that you don't like, because that moment is, again, transitory. People, like I say all the time, look at me, and you're in a sense of denial. I know what you're going through. How are you sitting over there smiling? How are you going over here to do this? How are you volunteering over there? How are you sitting up smiling in these people's faces? And I know what you're going through. See, you're caught up in the circumstance, and I'm looking at the destination. I am caught up in my destiny. And when I look at my destiny, I smile. When I think about what my destiny will feel like when I arrive, I become emotionally charged with a positive charge that can measure on the Hertz scale up to 600, 650. I'm raising my state. And here's the beauty of about when you raise your frequency and your vibration is energy is resonant. Now, this is a scientific fact. This isn't some pseudo mystical mumbo jumbo that people throw out there and it feels good. No, this is a scientific fact that energy is resonant. What does that mean? Energy resonates with like energy. Energy attracts energy. That's why you find complainers hanging with complainers. That's why you find envious people and haters hanging with other envious people. And that's why you find people who see the joy of life hanging around other people who see the joy. That's why you find successful people around other successful people. That's normally why you generally find entrepreneurs hanging with entrepreneurs, is because there's an energy that is emitted. There's a frequency that's created. And in that energy and in that frequency, there's something that draws and connects. I remember studying this when I was in school in science, and we studied energy transference and energy absorption and resonance and all of that. And there's this old cartoons when we were growing up. It would be the fat lady on the cartoon, and she would sing and she would hit this high note, right? And the glasses in the room would all break and shatter. And used to go, man, that can't really happen. Well, actually it does, and there's a way it happens. And so with it, when you're in the lab and you're trying to create this thing, what you find out is if I get a tuning fork and I tap the glass, I'll find out that the glass has a frequency. It emits a sound. And if I tap it, it emits that same sound. And what we find out is that everything in this world is made from one type of molecule. It's called an atom. And in the atom, there's different densities and different densities and all this created by the speed of what? The speed and the density of what's going on in the atom, protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? So everything is made of the same thing. We are atoms. The screen you're looking at is atoms. Everything is atoms, right? But it's in different speeds, and so they have different frequencies. So when you tap the glass, you find out that it has a frequency. Now, if you have a real well-trained opera singer who can hit the very note they heard, they will hit that note and hold that note. And what will happen? That frequency and vibration literally travels through the air, and it is drawn to the frequency of the glass. And because it's drawn to that glass is trying to absorb that energy and receive it. The problem is in the structure that it is, it can't handle the vibration, and it explodes. But what happens is you are attracting the people that are going to be thinking like you. That's why my teachers always tell me, it says association brings about assimilation. And Euripides said that do not be deceived, evil company corrupts good habits. And Paul quoted him in the New Testament, but do not be deceived, evil company. What? But association brings about assimilation. You're told that you will be the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. Why? Because you're going to attract, you're going to sit up, you're going to repeat what? The same thought, the same conversation, the same behavior. You're going to mimic one another. You're going to move. You're going to reinforce the beliefs that each other hold. And if no one ever challenges that particular situation, you're staying that thing. What you need is an ascending circle. You need people who are constantly aspiring to be better, constantly aspiring to do something new, constantly aspiring to rise above what they have been doing previously. And what you do is you put yourself in a circle that will draw you up, that will elevate you. But you started by in the morning saying, look, I am whole, I am worthy, I am loved. You do now when you do it in the morning, you set the state and you set the projection of your day. You lay out the seeds that you will water through your thinking throughout the day, that will begin to sprout out and present new things to you that you would not have even noticed in the past, because you wouldn't have been focused on them, you wouldn't have been looking on them. When you say it at night, you prime the mind to go into a state of quietness. When you say it at night, it's the same as programming your computer to do something new and then turning it off to go to bed. When you wake up in the morning, the program is set. It prepares you to start off the day correctly. And there's so much more you can do before you go to bed at night. I do an entire prayer meditation. I speak to my subconscious before I go to bed, right before I go to bed. And then I finish after I do my prayer meditation and speak to my subconscious. I finish with, I'm whole, I am worthy, I am loved. Why? Because that settles my spirit. That reminds me, no matter what somebody's done to me, no matter what's going on in my world, no matter how somebody may have treated me today, no matter what I thought was, there's a part that at the end of the day say, don't worry about that, because you're whole. Everything you need to do, everything you're going to do in this world is within you. Nobody can stop you. Anybody that attempts to stop you only ensures that it happens. That's the very definition of destiny. The more you try to stop it, you only ensure that it happens. The very ones hating on you, the very ones talking behind your back, the very ones sitting up praying and wishing for your demise are only becoming a part of your destiny, because they have no power to stop it. God wrote it in your DNA, both spiritual and physical. There's some gifting inside of you that nobody can do anything about. I don't care what you were born into. I don't care what you've been told by your teachers. I don't care even if your parents talked bad to you. I don't care what you've been hearing. What I'm telling you is you have the power to wake up in the morning and say, I'm whole, I'm worthy, I'm loved, and say it for a minute. That's it. Say it for a minute. I'm whole, I'm worthy, I'm loved. I'm whole, I am worthy, I'm loved. And when you finish, you get up and you start your day. And I guarantee it's going to be ringing in your head. Just like that song you can't get out of your head. Just imagine not being able to get out of your head. I'm whole, I'm worthy, I'm loved. You start to behave like what? You're whole, you're worthy, you're loved. Now, remember what I said in the beginning. This thing is about what? Repetition and consistency. You have to be able to do this consistently. And what you'll find is over time, it's starting to anchor itself. It's starting to bloom. When you repeat it over and over again, it's like watering the seed that you planted. And I'm telling you, from years and years of experience of working with people, from years and years of experience of putting it to practice in my life, that it's unfailing. It's a part of God's design for this universe. It's a part of God's design for your life. God's trying to do something remarkable and spectacular through you. And what you got to do is be willing to step into it, be willing to get outside of the box, be willing to explore something beyond what is average, be willing to do what the average person won't do. And I guarantee you, you'll have what the average person has never seen, but you're going to have to be willing to step into it. Look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here, but I had to bring that to you. As I said, for those who are looking to expedite your growth, to expedite your transformation process, there's a link that will show you the way that you can work with me. There's also a link for those who may not be able to afford to work with me to sign up for my online course, The Mind Unleashed. The Mind Unleashed is about what we just talked about, but on a grander scale. Everything you need to understand to reprogram your mind. See, you are performing at the level that your mind told you you can. Confucius once says, who believes he can and who he believes he can are usually both right. The thing boils down to, what do you believe you can do? What do you believe you deserve? What do you believe you can make happen in your life? How, or do you believe you're stuck? Do you believe that you'll never get out of it? Do you believe this is just your lot in life? What are you believing? What are you believing about who you are? That's the key. So again, I'm going to challenge you, whether you work with me, whether you take the course or whether you just take what I've given you. I'm whole, I'm worthy, I'm loved, and start to practice it immediately. But you've got to execute change in your life. You've got to be in control of it. You've got to take responsibility for it. When you do, you will begin to see your life change in ways that you never imagined. And not even the devil himself can stop you from doing that. On that note, look, I'm out of here. I want to thank you guys for joining me. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I'm challenging you to do the same thing. On that note, I will talk to you later.